Sunday, what was that morning like for you, Sam?
Phone just going crazy, man. It woke me up. And I picked the phone up and forget who called me, man. I just hear people screaming in the background. And then they like, man, bro got shot. So I just immediately just run out the house and jet out the door. My grandma was in the living room watching TV, so she seen me run out, didn't close the door, just got in the car. Grandma's on 5th in Slauson, so the shop is maybe like 6 blocks away. So I just ran every light, every stop sign, and get there, and man, it's just going crazy, man. Everybody screaming, and I just see bro, and I'm just.
When I drop my daughter off every day, I drill her. Every day at school, when I take her to school, we have a little combo we had before she got the car, and she gets sick of running the script to me, but I pound it in her head. Like, what is integrity? Integrity doing the right thing when nobody's looking, all right? Are you a leader or a follower? I'm a leader, what's the difference? Think for myself, all right? Do you have confidence? Yes, what's confidence? Believe in myself. That's our script every morning. And it seemed basic, but I want her to get older and look back on the things that I thought was important. You know what I mean? Like, my dad always put into me integrity, confidence, and being a leader. And regardless if she can really embrace those ideas right now, when she get older and do an evaluation of what the message that I wanted her to receive direct.
She ain't gonna forget that.
She's not gonna forget that that's what my dad thought was really important.
Photos and footage of Amani Askadam hanging with Bloods started making rounds online, and the internet immediately went to work forming opinions. But before you take a hot take to the comments, you need the full context. Because what most people are framing as a red flag is actually something completely different when you understand who her father was, how he raised her, and who has been standing beside her since the day he was taken. This is not the story the headlines want to tell, but it's the real one. Nipsey Hussle, Ermias Asghedom, was not just a rapper from Crenshaw. He was a father who approached parenting the same way he approached everything else in his life. With intention, with repetition, with a clear understanding of what the world his daughter was inheriting was going to demand from her. There is an interview that does not get referenced enough when people talk about Nipsey as a father. He talked about his morning routine with Amani, walking her to school every single day and using that walk as a classroom, not in a heavy-handed way, in a consistent, deliberate way that anyone who understands how the mind builds its foundation knows is the most effective form of education there is. He would ask her simple questions. What does integrity mean? He would have her repeat affirmations out loud. I am a leader. Phrases that seem basic on the surface but carry enormous weight when a child hears them from their parent every morning, internalizes them, and builds their self-image around them before the world gets a chance to define them first. This is a man from one of the most intense gang environments in Los Angeles history. Walking his daughter to school every morning and asking her to define integrity. Building her vocabulary around leadership and purpose so that no external pressure, not peer pressure, not street pressure, not the weight of the neighborhood's expectations could ever override the foundation he was laying. He was not raising Amani to be sheltered from the world she lived in. He was raising her to be ready for it, to be a leader inside it. Then on March 31st, 2019, she was 10 years old and her father was murdered outside his own store on Slauson Avenue. She did not lose him quietly or privately. She lost him publicly, violently. In a moment that became national news and generated grief across the entire world. A spotlight went on her family's pain that has never fully gone away, and a 10-year-old girl was left to navigate the aftermath of one of the most high-profile losses Los Angeles had ever seen while simultaneously trying to just grow up. What she was left with materially was real. Nipsey's estate, his music catalog, his marathon brand, his business interests has continued to grow in value and generate income. His children are provided for on a financial level most people will never experience. Nipsey made sure of that. But money does not walk you to school. Money does not ask you what integrity means on a Tuesday morning. Money does not sit with you at 2:00 a.m. when the grief hits and the absence of your father feels like a physical weight. For that, Amani needed people. And the person who stepped into that gap was Black Sam. Black Sam, Samuel Asghedom, is Nipsey's older brother. When Nipsey's was killed, Black Sam did not just grieve. He stepped up. He made a commitment that went well beyond what most people think of when they hear the word uncle. He took on the role of a father figure for Amani in a way that has been consistent, deliberate, and deeply intentional from the day Nipsey was buried. In the hood, when a father falls, the men around him are expected to hold things together for the children left behind. That code is real, and it runs deep in communities like Crenshaw. But what Black Sam has done for Amani goes beyond cultural obligation. This is personal. This is a man who understood his brother's vision for this child and made a decision to carry that vision forward as faithfully as he could. He is present for her education, present for her milestones. He has kept her connected to her father's legacy in a way that honors Nipsey without crushing Amani under the weight of it. Because being Nipsey Hussle's daughter carries enormous weight. The expectations, the projections, the way the entire world filters every single thing she does through the lens of who her father was. Black Sam has been the buffer between that weight and Amani's ability to just be a young woman figuring herself out. He has also made sure she understands the full depth of who her father actually was, not just the legend or the icon the internet has constructed. The real man, the man who asked her what integrity meant every morning, the man who had flaws and made mistakes and also had a vision so clear and so powerful it outlived him. Black Sam carries that knowledge in a way only a brother can, not as a fan, not as a follower, but as someone who was in every room, every conversation, every relationship that made Nipsey who he was. And he transfers that to Amani in a way no documentary or interview ever could. Now let's talk about the actual photos. Because here's the part that changes everything. When the footage and images of Amani with blood started circulating, the internet reacted the way it always does, fast, emotional, without context. People came with concern, with criticism, with judgment about what it means that Nipsey Hussle's daughter is in those environments and those circles. But Black Sam's reaction was not panic. It was not public condemnation. It was measured, knowing. Almost like a man who understands the full picture and is not the least bit rattled by what the internet is choosing to make a story out of. And that measured response is the whole story, because Nipsey Hussle himself was deeply, openly, and unapologetically connected to gang culture for his entire life. He was rollin' 60s. He never pretended otherwise, never disavowed it, talked about it in his music, and wore it in his identity. And simultaneously, he used his position within that culture to try to broker peace, to bring Bloods and Crips together, because he understood that the division between those two communities was destroying the same neighborhood he loved. He was a rollin' 60s member who was actively working toward unity across gang lines because he believed that was the only way the community survived. When you understand that, Amani being around Bloods does not look like a red flag. It looks like a reflection. It looks like a young woman who absorbed her father's understanding that people are more than their affiliations, that unity is more powerful than division, that the mission he dedicated his life to was bigger than any set or any color. Black Sam understands this because he lived it alongside Nipsey. He was there for the relationships, the conversations, and the work. He knows that Amani moving through those spaces is not a betrayal of her father's legacy. It is an extension of it. And his calm, grounded reaction to the whole situation is the reaction of a man who has been preparing her for exactly this kind of moment. The easy version of this story is that a famous man died. His daughter got raised in the same environment, and the cycle continued. That is the hot take. That is the version that generates clicks and outrage. The real version is more complicated and honestly more powerful than that. Amani Asghedom is the product of intentional parenting by a man who knew exactly what world he was bringing her into and spent every morning walk to school building the foundation she would need to navigate it. She has had Black Sam besides her carrying the torch of that intention, reinforcing that foundation, keeping her connected to the real legacy of who her father was. and young woman from Crenshaw who understands her community, who moves through it without fear, who has relationships across different affiliations, because she grew up watching her father believe unity was possible. That is not a cautionary tale. That is exactly what Nipsey was trying to produce. Black Sam watching it all with calm is not a man who missed something. That is a man who has been doing the work, who looked at his niece and saw his brother's vision still alive, and decided his job was not to protect her from the world Nipsey came from. His job was to make sure she was ready for it. The marathon continues, and it looks exactly like this. Drop a comment. Do you think people are being too quick to judge Amani? And what do you think Nipsey would say if he could see where she's at right now